Good morning, Facebook Live family. We are Centers for Spiritual Living, Greater Boston, coming to you today live from cold 50 Dudley Street in Cambridge, Massachusetts. It might be cold outside, but we're very warm in here. I am Reverend Ed Tansey, and I, along with Reverend G. Stewart, are privileged and honored to be the co-founders and spiritual leaders of this wonderful spiritual family here. And at this center, we learn and practice the science of mind philosophy, which is the study of life and the nature of the laws of thought. I invite you to visit our website, cslboston.org, to find out more about our spiritual family, this phenomenal philosophy called the science of mind, and see how our community can serve you. And if you are being spiritually fed by this message this morning, you can include us in your prosperity circulation or tithing practice with your tax-deductible contributions that you can make right online. So, welcome again. And the 2019 Center for Spiritual Living theme is Spirituality in Action. And January's theme is Learn and Embody the Science of Mind Principles. And today's talk is The Way It Works. The Way It Works. Now, as many of you hear me say in my weekly introduction, this phenomenal philosophy of science of mind, I say that all the time because I so believe it, that let's keep in mind that Ernest Holmes, he did not create the science of mind philosophy. He synthesized all he got from his studying so many of the different religions, science, and philosophy. All of the different revelations that he did get is what makes up the philosophy, and it's a culmination from the three disciplines that I just mentioned. It is not, like I said, a special culmination of any one individual. So let's keep that in mind, okay? So fundamentally, thank you. I'm not going to say it because it's just not coming out. Yet fundamentally, the science of mind's teaching is based on principle. And principle, found in the science of mind text, is a basic truth or law which has been proved infallible. It works without known exception. It is impersonal and works for everyone alike. So we accept without question the workings of electricity, chemistry, gravity, the way the seed and the soil works, etc. These are physical or scientific principles or laws, I think, that we're all familiar with. Would you say that's correct? Aren't we all familiar with that?
Yep.
Okay. So you see, science of mind deals with spiritual principles which work in the same way, impersonally and infallibly. We study and we learn these principles to learn how to apply them in any and every aspect of our lives so that daily we ourselves reflect more love, more light, more fulfillment, more joy. It just brings a smile to my face. More of all that good stuff. These principles themselves, they're invisible. They are invisible, yet we see their effect everywhere. Everywhere in the world and everywhere in our own lives. These invisible principles are working 24/7. They're always there. They're always there whether we use them or not. And the results are visible. The results are visible from these laws. So as religious scientists, all of us take the good wherever we can find it. As we individually understand what the good is. You know, there's like a realization that good is universal. And we can experience, each and every one of us, we can experience this good, the amount of this good, to the degree that we are able to receive it. You must be able to receive the good. So this is what really constitutes the science of mind and spirit. Slide. The realization that good is universal, and that as much good as any individual is able to incorporate in his life is his to use. Is his to use. And the next slide. The storehouse of nature may be filled with good, but this good is locked to the ignorant. The key to this door is held in the mind of intelligence, working in accordance with universal law. So, you hear us talk about the nature of the divine here, the nature of the thing itself, as being a universal energy, a vibration, an intelligence. It is the spirit. As we know that God has many, many different names, and each of us are made in the likeness and image of the universal mind. And it functions, here's the key, it functions at the level of one's concept and understanding of it. And this, I feel, is really the essence of the whole teaching. So this universal mind, this spirit, this intelligence, whatever you want to call it, is God. I call it God. The God of one's own personal understanding. It's not for me to tell you what God to believe, and it's you to believe whatever you believe to your understanding and call it whatever you want. Because this is the life. This is energy. This is in back of everything. There is nothing but this energy. There is the only one thing back of all in the seen and the unseen form. This energy, as I said, is everywhere, in everything, as everything, and being the one expression in back of it all. And this is where we get this is, I feel, what the mystical meaning is of Acts 17:28. In him we live, move, and have our being. In him we live, move, and have our being. This life that we all live is God expressing through us, people. It's our thoughts, it's our emotions, our feelings, our beliefs. This is the cause of really everything. Remember, there is God, Spirit, the thing itself, and absolutely nothing else. Bottom line. We are all individualized expressions of this energy. And most importantly, to remember, the divine interprets itself through man. And the Spirit can make no gifts that we are not ready to accept. The gifts are there. We have to open the package, so to speak. So as we know, again, it's not rocket science. God is infinite. God is good. God is positive power. And the only power that exists, it is the law. It is life. Now, when I say the law with a capital L, the law is spirit always working for us. The law is really, I love this, like our servant. Like our servant. The law always says yes to any of the thoughts, feelings, and beliefs that we put into it. What we impress upon it. I'm going to repeat that. What we impress upon the law. So I believe it's really important that when we talk about the law is always working and takes direction from our thoughts, that we really have an understanding of how principles or the law and the creative process operates. So please put that slide up, Reggie. Principles, scientific principles or physical principles. Mathematics, gravity, electricity, physics, chemistry, seed-soil relationship, cause and effect. I mentioned them before. Now, next slide. Spiritual practices. Principles, oneness, the creative process, the triune nature of spirit, affirmative prayer, and empowered consciousness, the universal Trinity, the power of your word, the reciprocal universe, abundance. So, as I said before, thank you, I consider principles and laws as really being the same thing. They operate impersonally and infallibly. They operate impersonally and infallibly. And remember, they respond to all alike. There are no special people here or chosen people here. Principles can be used by everyone. They respond to all alike, but respond more favorably to those who understand them and use them for their highest and best good. Now, I invite you to keep in mind that no one knows why principles work. It's simply known that they work at all times. And if they didn't, they wouldn't be considered principles. Hello? They wouldn't be considered principles. So I say here, save yourself a lot of time, energy, and grief by stopping that endless search for why. Stop the search for why and use your energy instead by trustfully using what we know to be the principles. So now I'd like to begin here looking more at how these work. Okay? And release the why. Just get that out. Release the whys. So when we do that, I think, our energy is more used to the positive and more wisely used. So let's think of a plant, any plant you want. So in a plant, you basically have a stem, a leaf, and a flower. Now, they all are one with each other. Each has a different function, yet they operate as one. They operate as one. The leaf, stem, and flower were, at one time, contained in the seed, yet having a different function from the seed. Would you agree upon that? Yep. Okay, passed my first class. No, okay. So now let's look at our teaching symbol slide. Or we can look at our teaching symbol. Or we can look at our teaching symbol. We see our teaching symbol on many, many forms. We really do. Wouldn't you agree? Yep. Where do we see our teaching symbol? Where do we see our teaching symbol? Give me some ideas. On what? On what? Where do we see them?
Yeah.
I'm looking for
The
the
website.
website.
Thank you, the website. I'm glad. Okay. Where else?
The program on
The
your
program. Right here.
Right here, right there, right there.
Okay. All right. Right. Okay. So we see it all over. We really, really do. Okay. So I'd like to look at the next slide, and this is going to basically help understand so much more about the creative process, the nature of the divine. So if you remember before, I'm having the slide up here, but keep in mind that I said that there is only one power in the universe, God. God is all there is. Okay? So I look at this circle, our teaching symbol. The whole circle represents God. God is all there is. And from this one infinite source flows all of life. Would you agree? Okay. All scientific principles and laws are contained within the one. Are contained within the one. Within God. Okay? And when I quote from Beyond Limits, that the Word of God means the power of God. Okay? The Word of God means the power of God. And it brings itself into form, which is the creative process, the creative medium. And that is subjective to the spirit and must create all physical manifestations in exact accordance to what is the initiating cause. Just as the soil must produce a tomato plant from a tomato seed and a carrot from a carrot seed. Now, all three of these modes of being in this teaching symbol, spirit, soul, and body, are all within the one God. Okay? Moving through and within itself to bring forth form, which is one of the three aspects of God. So, we have spirit, being love, being wisdom and intelligence. We have soul, which is the subjective mind, which is the law. Here's where the law is. And then we have body, the omnipresent body. Now, that's one aspect, the spiritual, and then the human is where the think is. We put the ideas. We have our own mind, which is with the one mind, and we put our thoughts into the law, which is the creative medium. And from the thoughts that you impress, that are impressed upon the law, the servant, whatever you impress upon it, it's your servant, it brings it into manifestation. Does that kind of make sense? It brings it into manifestation. So, spirit itself, okay, spirit or the love of the universe can't be separate from its own law. From its own law. Love points the way. Love points the way, okay, initiates, plants the thoughts into its own being that we call the creative process, or the creative medium, the law, the creative process. And that's, like I said, it's the law that gives you exactly what you impress upon. Okay? Love and law, they're perfect. Love and law are perfect. So again, spirit or the conscious mind or the love intelligence thinks into the creative medium or the law and starts that creative process, which manifests as form of some kind. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Okay, I tried to say it in a few ways, but that to me is, whatever, is the basis of how the creative process works and the triune nature of God. Remember, those three things, they're not separating it. They're all one of the divine. That's important. Sometimes that's important to remember, because sometimes people think, oh my God, there are three separate. No, it's all within the one. All within the one. And as human beings, we are all the time reenacting the process, because we're always thinking. So, as with physical laws, we can elect to use the spiritual laws, right, in accordance with their own nature, with their perfection, and with their own wonderfulness, and experience heaven right here on earth, or not, and experience unhappy results. Hell right here on earth. I don't have to go anywhere. It is up to each and every individual because we all have right and freedom to choose, to make our choices. So I'm going to just go through a couple of slides that I put here that show that again, because I think this is so important, because really what we impress upon the law is what we experience in our life. So again, as you see the three separations, kind of think of the teaching symbol. There's your seed, the thought, the soil, that's where the creative process begins, and then the plant is the manifestation. Next slide. Again, seed, soil, and then the little plant. Next slide. Or, cause, law, effect. Right? Different words, kind of same meaning. Mind and action. Again, think of what we said. Mind and form. Next. Thought, medium, the thing. Thoughts thicken into things. Is there another one? This is one of my favorites. This wonderful iceberg. This comes from Beyond. All of those slides came from the Beyond Limits class that we teach here at the center. Okay. Now, if you notice, this is what we would see coming up from the water. That's the form. All right? But if we turn this upside down, this is spirit, this is the law, and this is the manifestation. Look at all the work that goes on before the manifestation. You see what I'm saying? I love this slide. And I have a beautiful picture that I forgot to take in to this, a beautiful painting from a very, very wonderful woman. Her name is Reverend Jane Beach. She painted, it's on my mantle, painted this wonderful tree of life picture. And I forgot to take it with me because I look at that as another symbol of the creative process, because it shows the wonderful tree above the ground, what you know, above earth, and then underneath all of the roots that support what is manifest. And I went, oh, I've got to take that in, and I forgot to take it this morning. So anyway, I just want to say that it's a beautiful thing. I'll share it next week with our congregation. I want to take that in because it's very important. So I hope those slides, you know, helped you kind of understand the nature of the divine and how the creative process works. So since we know that law is always working silently and unobtrusively, in all that one says, thinks, writes, and does, it's really important to keep a check on the words that are coming out of our mouths. Because the law works in what we say, not only to others, but also what we say to ourselves. These words that we use could be freeing and expansive, or they could be limiting and restrictive. Okay? So next slide. Out of the same mouth proceedeth blessings and cursings. See, the law itself does nothing without a word or an idea or a thought, right? We all know that now, right? Okay. So the law has no impulsion of its own. The law of your mind waits until it becomes impressed with the creative word, which then sets it into motion. It's your word that differentiates the law. It really is. So I've said many, many times before that we must always be good farmers and tend to our gardens. Weed out our gardens so that what is produced in that garden is beautiful and weed-free. You've heard me say that, correct? Good, you listen to me at times, okay? So, of course now, our gardens, what are they? What are our gardens? They're our what? It's our what? It's our minds. Okay, and what are the weeds? The weeds are what we put in there if the thoughts are limiting and negative. Okay? Any of those thoughts that aren't going to be for our highest and best good. So we must replace these weeds in our garden, those thoughts, replace them with beautiful, beautiful seeds, so that our garden can be a beautiful representation that is joy-filled, that is magical, that is magnificent. And that's the life that our Creator wants for each and every one of its creations. Slide from Science of Mind text. The gardener goes forth in faith to sow his seeds. He has learned that as he sows, so shall he reap. That the law works the same for all alike. Next one. We are thinking, willing, knowing, conscious centers of life. We are surrounded by, immersed in, and there is a flowing through us of creative something. Call it what you will. The sum total of all our thought, will, purpose, and belief creates a tendency in this law that causes it to react to us according to the sum total of that belief. Okay? So, I'm going to mention, thank you, I'm going to mention one other thing. I'm sure you all heard of this author, Don Miguel Ruiz, who wrote The Four Agreements. And as many of us know, that is a book that reveals the source of self-limiting belief, that robs us of our joy, and creates a suffering that really doesn't have to be there. So the Four Agreements are based on an ancient Toltec wisdom, and it offers a very powerful code of conduct. You can shut that slide. That can rapidly transform one's life to a new and higher experience of happiness, of love, and of freedom. I want to bring attention to the first agreement that he talks about. Okay? Be impeccable with your word. Now, he feels that this is the most important agreement and is also the most difficult to embody, to follow, and to honor. He really does. And he talks about how one will be able to transcend to any existence that he so chooses by his word. So you can transcend to have heaven right on earth. And wouldn't we want to always have heaven on earth for ourselves? Yeah? Would you like that? I know I would. I want my life to be as heavenly as possible. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because here, as religious scientists, we know that our word is an outward expression of our inner thoughts. We know that. And it's an outward expression. The words are our outward expressions of our beliefs also and our feelings. And really, our word is a gift that comes from the God of our understanding. Our word is that outward expression that starts that creative process going. And why does the word start the creative process going? Why does this happen? What starts the creative process? Your what? Thank you. Your thought. And the word is an outward manifestation of your thoughts. Okay? And we know that what we focus on and put our emotions to energize the seeds that we plant into the law. Hence, the law begins to work on all of those impresses. So the word is extremely important. So really, we need to be careful of what we say. Okay? And check ourselves. If we do say something that comes out negative, we can easily turn that around by saying the opposite. So from his book, I want to just, I don't have it. Right there.
Here it is.
Oh, there it is. I don't know how that happened. But from the Four Agreements, the word is not just a sound or a written symbol. The word is a force. It is the power you have to express and communicate, to think, and thereby to create the events in your life. So as humans, our word is the most powerful tool we have, and our word is really like a double-edged sword. Your words can create the most beautiful personal experience here in life, or your word can create the most ugly. So, one edge could be positive, the other edge could be negative. So, it's really up to each and every one of us to be impeccable with their words, so that we all can have that wonderful experience here. And that, to me, what it's all about. And I'm going to end my talk today with this reading I found in the Creative Ideas that talks about something that I felt could add to this. And it says, I pray aright. And this is also written by Ernest Holmes. If we feel that our thought, by our will and concentration, must go somewhere and compel things to happen, then we shall put strain into our prayers. This we must avoid. Actually, our thoughts, our prayers are acted upon by the law of mind. We do not and could not compel any law to function. We only permit it to act. So it is with the law relating to faith and belief, or affirmative prayer. Something greater than we are is acting. If we had the same faith in spiritual law that we have in physical laws, then our faith would be complete and miracles would happen every day, just because there is something acting upon our thoughts. And we know it acts upon our thoughts. The creative process, the law, and that's how I would like to end this talk. And I say to you, have a wonderful day. So, we do the... Yeah, yes.
Join me now in this spiritual mind treatment. And if you are comfortable, you can close your eyes or you can leave them open, whatever you prefer. And we'll take a breath and release it. And I know that there is one mind, one power, one spirit, one creative force that is in, through, and around us as us, operating always, generating love, kindness, joy, abundance, bringing forth all of life, all of our experience, everything that is in this material plane of existence, here, now, through time and all of space, is God, is of God. And I know that I am one with this presence, this power, this creative force, like a drop in the sea. I contain all of the sea within my drop, an individualized expression of the totality of divinity expressing in and through me, as me. And I know that this is true for each one of us who's present here today or on Facebook, throughout the universe. We're all drops in the cosmic sea of divinity, creative force. We all represent individualized aspects of the totality. And therefore I know that we do have the power and the ability to bring forward our word into effect, into manifestation. By being in integrity, by being in harmony and alignment with the source, we are able to express and bring forward that which we attend to and give attention to, and plant our seeds into the soil of the law, bringing all into effect, growing these ideas, thoughts, and beliefs into manifestation according to the power of our belief, to our attention, to our commitment. And I'm so thankful that I know that this is so, and that we have heard the words today to help us understand and know completely and fully how the law works, how it all works, so that we too can enjoy a full, complete, joyous, abundant, healthy life of love, happiness, freedom. And I release this treatment into the law where it is done, it is complete, and it is perfect. And knowing that this is so, I affirm this with perfect conviction and invite you to join me by saying, and so it is.
Thank you, Nan. And if you will join me in today's affirmation, and this is by Reverend Valerie Reeves from the Huntington Beach CSL. Let's say this all together. I choose my words carefully. I love my life. Let's say that again. I choose my words carefully. I love my life.